Welcome, WBSC and the Whiskey Network, to another live edition of Whiskey Network Interviews. My name's Chad Cadden, co-founder of WBSC and the Whiskey Network, and sitting next to me is my good friend and also the co-founder, Bill Varnell. Today we have a special guest on a very special day. Today marks our 7th anniversary of WBSC. And please welcome Miss Elizabeth McCall, Assistant Master Distiller for no other than Woodford Reserve. So welcome, Elizabeth. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, WBSC.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Congratulations and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, today we're going to have some fun with cocktails. Woodford Reserve, the world's top-selling super premium American whiskey, and Williams-Sonoma, the world's largest digital first design-led and sustainable home retailer, have formed a new partnership to bring unique cocktail experiences to homes across the U.S. And this partnership kicks off with a line of co-branded cocktail mixers that are available for purchase in time to celebrate the holidays. The range of cocktail mixers include the old-fashioned whiskey sour, spiced apple, and mint julep. Guests who visit the Woodford Reserve Distillery in Versailles, Kentucky can enjoy the signature cocktails on site and purchase the mixers. You can also purchase the mixers directly from the Williams-Sonoma website. Chad?
So Elizabeth, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and the partnership with Williams-Sonoma?
Yes, I'd love to. So hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth McCall, the Assistant Master Distiller for Woodford Reserve. So big part of my job is doing, obviously, is quality control. I mean, that's number one, is make sure that Woodford Reserve tastes the way it should. But then the other big piece of my role is to make sure that I am helping with innovation projects. And one of those innovative projects was this recent partnership with Williams-Sonoma. So we've had a lot of fun working on this with them. Williams-Sonoma is a great brand. They have wonderful glassware, wonderful barware, and they obviously do great mixers for cocktails that I've seen for with other brands and just their own mixers. And so we thought, what a great way to kind of spread the love of Woodford Reserve and do some really interesting, fun cocktails. So coming up with these was a fun process. We all got sent these little teeny tiny samples, and so Chris Morris and myself sat down and tasted through. We had to do the hard work, guys, of tasting these different mixers with Woodford Reserve, trying out the cocktails to decide which one was really the best fit for Woodford, which rendition of the old fashioned, for instance, or the whiskey sour. So it was really hard work, but somebody has to do it. And we landed with these 4 that we have today. And let me tell you, for making interesting, fun, classic cocktails, it makes it really easy, and they're complex and interesting. They're not just sugar and some flavor. It is interesting, complex flavors that build on your palate and complement Woodford Reserve really, really well.
All right, let's have a cocktail.
All right.
You please lead us through the crafting this range of holiday libations?
I would be happy to. So the first one we're going to start with is the Woodford whiskey sour. So that's this mix right here. It says whiskey sour on it, and it's great because the instructions are right on the back. So it tells you what to do. We're going to build this in a shaker. So I already have my Woodford shaker ready to go. I've got ice in it. Then I'm just going to add the star of the show, Woodford Reserve, and it's suggested amounts on here. So these are the amounts on the back of the label for all of these mixers are recommended places to start. So everybody's palate is different. So we recommend 1.5 ounces of Woodford Reserve. But if you want to pour in a little bit more, you can, because it's all up to your palate. So I'm going to go stick with the recipe of 1.5 ounces of my Woodford Reserve. Then I'm going to take my whiskey sour mix, 1/2 ounce, and pour it right into my shaker. So all the stuff, usually whiskey sour is egg white, lemon juice, and all the things. Now we've taken that out of it. I'm going to shake. This is such a happy sound, isn't it? Always makes me so happy. Now I've got my my coupe glass. You can have a sour in a rocks glass. You don't have to have it up in a coupe glass. coupe glasses. This is how it's recommended on the label. It's how we suggested you serve it, but not everybody has a coupe glass. So it's whatever works for you, whatever you enjoy. So I've got my coupe glass here. I'm just going to pour that right into the coupe. So very, very simple and easy. You can see here. And I've got it. And then we do have some bitters, and I've done some fun garnishes because it is the holiday season. And I think a garnish really just makes a cocktail pop and is kind of fun. So I've got some bitters. I'm just going to take my bitters and just do a few dashes right on top of the glass just to give it some fun color. Then I am going to, and the aroma is kind of nice too. Then I did cut myself a nice little lemon peel. So I've just got a little lemon peel and I'm going to put it in there. If you want to do a cherry, it's kind of fun to do a cherry too. So all kinds of different little pops of color make it fun. So there, cheers to the whiskey sour. Let's go ahead and taste and let me know what you think.
It's tart.
It's tart.
Definitely tart.
Whiskey sour.
It is sour.
Very easily.
Yeah, it's quite tasty.
Yeah, and you know, and I feel like these are great just bases. You can build on these cocktails. So if you do enjoy the froth of egg white, go ahead and throw an egg white in your shaker, and then you've got your more frothy, authentic whiskey sour. But for your average person who just thought this would be fun, it's an easy way to do it there. So again, if you want to add more Woodford, you can. You want to dial it back, you can. It's all up to you.
Now, do you recommend, say, double oak? Because I do like an old fashioned with Woodford double.
Now double oak, if you can get it. So right now, it's not that we don't have liquid. We're going through a glassware shortage. So all my friends and fans of double oaked out there, if you're having trouble finding it, we are working on getting the glass. But I do recommend, I mean, double oaked in a whiskey sour is delicious because the big, bold flavors of Woodford double oaked really, really stand up nicely. It's going to shift your old fashioned to be a little sweeter, woodier. I mean, the spiced apple, it'll be a little more of a chocolatey note. There'll be a caramel spiced apple. And then the mint julep, of course, we've done a double oaked mint julep at the Kentucky Derby before. And it's a really, really fun take on the mint julep. So yes, I mean, you could use all the expressions of Woodford Reserve in these mixers.
We actually did a barrel pick of Woodford Double Oak, about a year ago?
Thereabouts.
Yeah, I still have about a half a bottle left. I'll be using it with this.
That'll be good.
This one really reminds me of Christmas. My parents would host big family Christmas parties, and they would always do the whiskey sours. And as I got a little bit older, when I was able to actually have a couple with them, that's what it reminds me of. Just a hell of a lot better. I mean, this is really, really tasty.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear you say that. You know, tasting through a couple of the different varieties of the whiskey sour, and this really had some extra just complexity to it than just your regular lemon juice and sugar and
Yeah, this is really, really remarkable. I really enjoy it.
Good. Well, I'm excited for you all to try the next ones.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to give a little tip for me. You're probably using standard bitters. I'm using black walnut bitters because they're my favorite.
That's I love the black walnut. I think Woodford has a wonderful walnut nutty finish, and that really just kicks it up to a whole new level. So I think that's a wise decision on your bitters choice there. Okay, so we're going to move on and we're going to do the old fashioned. So this old fashioned is one you can build directly in the glass. So I have my ice already in my rocks glass here. And this is really simple and very easy. So we're going to start with Woodford Reserve again. This time we're recommending 2 ounces of Woodford Reserve. So we've got our measuring cup here, and I'm going to just fill it to the top for 2 ounces. Pour that directly into my glass. Then I have our old-fashioned cocktail mixer right here, and I'm going to do a 1/2 ounce of this. And again, if you don't like that much sweetness, I say try it how it is recommended, but then dial it up, dial it down to what your palate likes. I'm going to pour that directly into the glass. I always suggest doing your sugar, your sweeter mixer second because it's heavier than your whiskey. So it's going to mix on its own when you first pour it in there. But then, of course, give it a quick stir just to make sure you're not leaving all that sugar sitting on the top of your glass. So we've got it mixed up. Now I've got an orange peel that I've just peeled off of the outside of the orange. So local grocery store, I'm a huge fan of just being able to go in a quick trip to get your garnish. And so I've got my orange peel and I'm going to express the orange oils over the glass just real quickly. I just love that citrus and I'm going to rub it on the rim and tuck it in to the side. And there we have the old fashioned. So cheers. I'm excited to see what you think about this.
You didn't put any bitters in yours.
Well, I didn't do that. You can do that if you want, but we already have, there's flavors in this cocktail mixer that are supposed to mimic some of the bitters. So it's going to have that already in it. So it's not just a sugar simple syrup. So this is one that's
the black walnut bitters in again, and it's delicious.
So I think especially because this is a classic cocktail and it's one that you can go to any bar and order. And this really, it's nice. I feel like it's something that once you get that orange peel in there and you just it feels like you've just received a nice fancy cocktail from at a really great bar. And if you want to elevate it, I would have, I wish my ice cubes are not frozen yet, but I had some great big square ice cubes that I would recommend using in this just because it'll dilute more slowly and it just kind of makes for a more elegant cocktail.
So for clarity, I'm not the hugest cocktails guy. Old fashions are one of the few cocktails I really, really, really enjoy. And I've had them all over the country. And this is like a perfectly crafted old fashioned from a ready-made mix. And to me, that's pretty cool because I've had some other pre-mixed old fashions.
That's good, yeah.
that just, they weren't that great, to be fair.
Yeah.
Really drinks like it's like meticulously done. So that's a grand slam right there on the old fashioned. That's so simple to make.
Well, and this is one that tasting when we were getting the different versions. I mean, we all agreed on this because it has that complexity on the palate. It's not just sugar and then and a little bit of sort of just like a demerara sugar. I mean, it is sugar, but then we've got some of the other bitters in there, and we've got other elements of spice in this mixer that make it elevated on the palate. So it complements Woodford really well. So you're not just getting overwhelmed with sweetness when you take a sip. Because sometimes I think it can be too sweet when you get a mixer. It can be just too sweet, too candied.
Yeah, this is really well balanced. It really, I think, highlights the Woodford perfectly. The marriage of it is really, really well done. You get all the different, as you just said, the complexities from old fashioned, from the citrus to the sugars to the bitters. Just everything swirls around magnificently.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one that we were really, really pleased with how it turned out. So I hope that people enjoy this. I think that, again, for the holidays, when you're entertaining, I mean, there's nothing that just makes me more excited than having people, friends, family over and just to celebrate. I mean, even no matter what holiday you celebrate, maybe you don't celebrate a holiday, but it's cold outside and you want to come in and be together. It's a great way to do it. So that's why I'm really, really excited about these.
So one thing I didn't do that I should have done, shame on me, I didn't write the prices down. So I'm going to ask you if you know what the average price of mixers is.
I was there today at Williams-Sonoma and I'm not sure what the price is. That's terrible of me. But when you go to williamssonoma.com, they'll have the price there. And I mean, I'm like, I need to get that figured out because shame on me, I haven't had to purchase mine yet. But I was in Williams-Sonoma today checking it out and the display was beautiful. And
tough business, isn't it? I mean, you get free whiskey, free mixers. It's just such a tough business.
Yeah, well, when I go to buy, I'll have to purchase when I get my second bottle, because I'm almost out. This spiced apple cocktail mixer, I will have to, I'm already, oh, there it is. It's $18.95. I got the price.
I
Okay,
thought
I
it
was
was
just
around
trying to pull it up.
$18. Yeah. I thought I remembered
$18.95. So I was like, well, there it is. And, but yeah, so this spiced apple, I'm almost out of it. I started serving this to my family the other night, and everyone just loved it. And so I will be back to purchase mine again.
Definitely. I opened these now. It's my practice whenever I'm doing a whiskey tasting of any kind. If I haven't already had it, I don't taste it until we go live and we're actually tasting it. I did cheat a bit and nose it, and that spiced apple is just amazing.
That's one. I'm glad it's last, because I'm anticipating that one for the winter time. That spicy apple and some bourbon, it just goes so good.
It is. It's just
here and drink a couple of these old fashions, but I have to drive home.
I am home, so I will have a couple of them.
Just leave them for Chad. Will be good. All right, so we're gonna do the mint julep next.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got the mint julep ready, and I know mint juleps. Everybody, or at least me, and with Woodford Reserve, you think of mint juleps, you think springtime and fresh mint and horse racing and a silver cup and all the things. Well, we're making this a winter mint julep because mint also makes me think of the holidays. And I'm gonna switch up my garnish a little bit on this one. So it's basically gonna be like it's a mint julep minus the mint sprig and the silver cup that it normally comes in. So I've got my highball glass here, and I've filled it up with ice. And you could crush the ice if you want to make it more like a traditional mint julep. I mean, and for folks at home, if you want to do that, you can get, if you have just a plastic bag, or even if you have like an old flour bag sort of thing, you can purchase them and crush up your own ice for your mint julep. But this is really, really simple and easy. There's no muddling involved. There's nothing like that. So again, the suggested portions, we're going to start with our 2 ounces of Woodford Reserve. So I've got my cup here. I'm going to measure out 2 ounces. So again, you can do more or less. So I'm going to get that right up to the top, pour that directly into my glass. Then I'm going to take my mint julep simple syrup. So I've got my mint julep simple syrup here. Just go ahead and nose it. I love how fresh and refreshing the aromas are on this. And I think, and there's a lot of, I feel like mint juleps are very polarizing. I deal with them a lot in the springtime, and people say, oh, it's too sweet and the mint is too much. So I don't want a whole lot. So we only recommended you do a 1/2 ounce. And so I'm going to do my 1/2 ounce here, and I'm going to take that and pour that directly into my highball glass. I'm going to give it a stir. My ice has melted down a little bit, but you could fill up your glass with a little more ice. I don't have any here in front of me right now, but I would fill this up with a little more ice, or get a smaller glass if you want. But then I'm a fan, so 'tis the season. I have gotten some little teeny tiny candy canes, and I'm going to hang that right over the side of my glass. And another thing you could do is you could mix this in a mixing glass and dilute it down for like 30-40 seconds in ice, strain it out and serve it in a coupe or a martini glass, just neat, and still do the candy cane on the side and serve it that way. So there's lots of fun ways to kind of do a different take on this old drink.
I do love the candy cane.
I wish I would have known that ahead of time, because we have the mint sprigs in here, obviously, But.
Yeah. Well, you all cheers, and go ahead, and if you have mint, then put the mint in there. I didn't have any fresh mint, so couldn't find any. So I thought, oh, well, peppermint candy cane, perfect.
Oh, that's good.
That's freaking delicious.
It's not overwhelming, right? It's the right amount of sweetness and just a little bit of mint to give you that like refreshing.
I was expecting it to be like, when Bill came over this afternoon for us to set up. I nosed the bottles themselves also. And I'm like, wow, that's super strong. I'm thinking it's going to be like Doublemint gum, but
Yeah.
that was just sweet and delicious.
Yeah,
It's not overwhelming. And that's why we have the suggested amount of portions, because really, I mean, and when we were doing this, I'm like, gosh, it seems like such a small amount. You're doing just a half-ounce pour. So you get a lot of cocktails out of each of these glasses, by the way. I think you get around 32 cocktails per bottle. But yeah, and for the mint julep, it's just a nice light sort of minty flavor. And for the holidays, it's just so fun. And you can use that to build for other things. If you do like a kind of a hot cocoa, you easily do hot cocoa mix, put a little bit of this peppermint, or the mint julep simple syrup in your bourbon. And then you've got a peppermint sort of hot cocoa.
Yeah.
Lots of different options.
It's delicious.
So cheers to that. And you can even do a big candy cane if you want, not just the little ones.
There's a lot of things you could do with this one, I think. That is
Really,
just
there are, and because it's nice that you don't have to make your own mint simple syrup. I mean, getting your mint leaves, crushing them up with your sugar and doing over the stove. Not that takes a lot of time, but this is just so much easier, and it's well balanced and it's already done right. So really easy to do.
I'm thinking of summertime. One of my favorite snowballs is a Spearmint Snowball, and so occasionally I'll make adult snowballs. And holy,
I mean, that's a really good idea. I mean, really, honestly, when you're talking summer cocktails with mint, think of like a mint watermelon bourbon sort of slush or something. I mean, you can do a lot. I mean, mint really is easy. I mean, you think of a mojito, and you could even do like a mint lemonade bourbon. I mean, you guys, we could talk forever about how we can use these.
I'm gonna have some of these down to Jimmy Z, our cocktail writer, and see what he could come up with, because he comes up with some amazing cocktail recipes for the whiskey-network.net digital magazine. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. But I think he would have fun with this mint.
Yeah, I actually was going to pull Jimmy into this event if I couldn't get Chad. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough product to send him, so he lives in Florida, we're in Pennsylvania. It just didn't work out. But another question for you before we get into the last one.
Mhm.
I remember reading on the press release that you were doing, pardon me for saying possibly cocktail classes, but some kind of instruction. Are you still doing that? And if so, how do our members get involved in that?
So we did do a few of those when we first launched this partnership back in September. We did some cocktail classes along with Williams-Sonoma. And as of right now, we don't have any plans to do more, but I think if people are interested in doing cocktail classes, myself or one of our brand ambassadors, who we have some of the best bartenders in the United States as our brand ambassadors, who do just what you're talking about, just take these mixers and use them as a base to build these incredible cocktails. So if you want to take, like, this is sort of the beginners right here, just I came home from work and I just want to make a delicious cocktail really easily. You do this, and then when you want to elevate it, you look to what some of what other mixologists do. But I do believe if you go to williamsonoma.com, they should have some of the cocktail suggestions on the website, and you can kind of look around there to see some different things. They have a lot of resources on their website.
Well, and obviously you work with Gabriella with KLG, and it would be really nice for us to partner and do maybe a couple of cocktail classes with Woodford and whatever you guys want to do for our group. It would be a great event for our group and for our members.
Oh yeah, I would love to do that, because it's so much fun. I mean, that's why I love what I do. I love making interesting whiskeys, but also the whole point of whiskey, I think, is to bring people together and to do that sort of thing. So I would love to do that and get back with you all, and we we'll start. We should all go, like, we've got our cocktails and then we'll break and come back with something better and we can have a little competition.
Definitely want to go back to that mint julep because my glass is empty. Because that was delicious.
Well, let's move on to the last one.
And this spiced apple,
Spiced apple.
the spiced
So-
apple one, I've been like dying for because I love.
You have your glass.
Add some more ice,
Some more
please.
ice.
During the wintertime, I'm working outdoors, come home, get some warm apple cider,
Yep.
throw a couple ounces of, just say a Woodford double oak in it. Oh my God, a thing of cinnamon stick is just warms the soul.
It does.
This one I am like giddy for.
Well, that's so funny you say that because I've got a jug of like fresh apple cider in my fridge right now. And that's what my husband and I have been doing like all fall is just a little bourbon, apple cider. And so this takes that simple mixed drink to a whole new level and it really makes it feel like a cocktail. So we've got our spiced apple cocktail mixer. And again, the recommendation is the same. So we're going to do 2 ounces of Woodford Reserve. I have this already in a glass with ice. So you can, I just had the little ice, but if you have one of those big ice cubes or just a tray, and I'm not saying it has to be one of those that is crystal clear and perfect, just a good solid ice cube is good as well. So I've got my ice in my glass already. So we're going to build this drink right in the glass. So you get home from your day and you're going to pour yourself 2 ounces of your, I'm gonna use this one, 2 ounces of your Woodford Reserve. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that and right into the glass. Got that. I'm going to grab my spiced apple cocktail mixer. I'm going to pour just a ½ ounce. A little goes a long way again. So we're going to do just a ½ ounce in there. So just nose it when you get the cinnamon, the little hint of ginger, apple, obviously, pour that in there. Now I'm going to give it a nice quick stir. And to top it off, you mentioned cinnamon stick. I have a cinnamon stick here. So I'm going to take my cinnamon stick, which just is so lovely. And I'm going to stick it right into the cocktail. Gives it a little color, a little dimension. And again, the aroma is nice. So cheers.
Apple too. Cheers.
Oh, and you've got the apple slice. Oh, I have apple upstairs. I should have done that too. You're ahead of me. So cheers and give it a taste.
Shut the front door.
Oh, I mean, is that not?
Say I'm going home, but I am home. Oh my God.
It's so good. The apple is so crisp. It's so it's so delicious. I feel like right now that I have somebody's just given me a scoop of cooked apples with a little bit of sugar and cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Oh my God. It's like it's cold apple pie.
Yeah. Yes. It is cold apple pie. This is, I mean, I love all of these, but I think right now this has been one that I have been opening quite a bit.
We actually live in apple country. We're in Pennsylvania and there's a lot of apples grown around here. So apple cider this time of the year, fresh apples, easily obtainable. And oh my, this could be dangerous. This could be dangerous.
I mean, and you could do this warm. I mean, you could warm it up too and do it that way. So you can have it warmed. So it'd be like a nice little warm you up. And then I've even done recently just added a little bubbles. So you could do either some ginger beer, like a spicy ginger beer to give it a little kick of something else. And because it's a way to just either, to me, it's like if you add some bubbles on there, it just kind of extends the drink out a little bit. So it's fun.
Elizabeth, you all down there have really
Knocked it out of the park.
this is like grand slam territory in the first inning and just walking away with the game and leaving the competition in the dust. I tell you what, if you have the opportunity, WBSC Whiskey Network, and you like cocktails, get this stuff because
It's amazing.
all four of them, the whiskey sour, like I say, it reminded me of my parents hosting Christmas parties. The old fashioned is just like perfectly concocted. Like I've had it at a gastropub. The mint julep, that's just fun. I mean, straight up fun. And this is straight up fall, winter, warm your soul, just every.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm blown away.
And Thanksgiving's coming up, so perfect time to purchase these and have them for your guests coming over. Christmas right around the corner. I know Walmart had Christmas out last month, but
So
let's
does my
not talk
mom.
about that.
You've already got Christmas at your house, so hey.
Exactly.
I'm not going to argue with my wife. Happy wife, happy life.
So
Exactly.
perfect. We highly recommend. I'm sure Chad does too. And as he said in the beginning, he's not a cocktail guy. He likes to drink neat, etc. But if Chad likes a cocktail, you're on board with it.
For real, I truly am not a cocktail person. All four of these have been super fun. This is just cold apple pie.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
It's so good. And then I love that you all added the apple slice as a garnish, because I think, and then if we're going to talk just people that, if you have people at your party that aren't consuming alcohol, they could do this. They could have the mixer and then just add some sparkling soda or tea or something else to it and still garnish it. And they still are festive and having fun. And so I think that that's really, really great as well. So it doesn't have to just be mixed with alcohol. You can have it there, and then your friends who aren't able to consume for whatever reason, which doesn't bother me at all. I always make sure I have an option when I have people over. They can participate as well.
Well, yeah, you could make a plain seltzer water and the spiced apple, and boom, there you go.
So
So-
good.
I do want to ask you this. Do you have a personal favorite?
I think I do. I hate to say it, but that spiced apple is my personal favorite.
I agree. I love the mint julep. I ain't gonna lie, that mint julep it's just fun.
Yeah.
That's just fun. But that
Yeah.
spiced apple is just touches me.
It's just one that that apple is such a bright, like it's just such a great apple flavor. And then the little bit of spice in the background, it's so good.
That cinnamon warms you right here.
It does.
It gets you going. There's a lot you could do with this.
Mhm.
Have some desserts for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
And that,
Yeah, I think I know what you will be drinking this holiday season.
oh, absolutely.
I do too.
Do you have any others coming out, or is this going to be the kind of standard?
We will. So be looking for more of these. Look for the springtime for us to have some more as we approach Derby, just as a little hint. So we should have some more coming out. And this is a partnership we want to have. We'll have some returning members of these mixers, but then we'll also keep innovating and doing fun new ones. So everyone, please be looking for more and just enjoy.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts of mixing your Woodford already with the mixer and selling it pre-mixed?
We haven't really ventured down that path because from a menu, first of all, I mean, Chris Morris and I want to keep Woodford just pure as it is and allow others to build cocktails on their own using Woodford. So that's really important to us. And, we've talked about it. It is really popular to do pre-made cocktails. That's a lot of the rage right now. So I don't want to say never, but it's not in the plans at the moment. So we don't, but I never want to say never. It's never going to happen. But from a manufacturing standpoint, it would just be challenging because all we do is bourbon. And then when you get into mixing, you've got sugars, you've got flavors you're dealing with. And from a production standpoint, we're not set up to do that at our little Woodford distillery.
I have to comment on that we have had, both Chad and I have had the premixes and we've not been impressed with them. So unless you are spot on with your mix, you're probably better off just sticking with your bourbon and selling the mixes separately.
Exactly. And I feel like, we've made this, so having mixes that we are recommending, it doesn't take that much time. People are like, oh, people want to get home and just pour. Well, this is literally 2 pours.
Yep.
It's not hard to do, and it's all spelled out for you. So I think that this is a great way to go, and it allows people to customize it for their palate. Add more of the mix if you like sweeter. Add more Woodford if you're more bourbon forward. Right. And just play with it that way.
I will say, when you're trying to mix for 2 people, your hands get sticky.
But
my hands are sticky too.
I am actually a very huge fan of Woodford. Double Oak is one of my favorite whiskeys, and since you released the batch proof, that has a special place in my heart. So I'm looking forward to actually playing around with different mixes, different mixtures with some of these, especially with the batch proof and the double. I always have the standard Woodford in the house, and your wheat whiskey. I gotta love that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to playing around with some of these because these are delicious.
Yeah. And I think that'll be really fun. Like, I look forward to, you mentioned the wheat. I think the wheat with the spiced apple might be really interesting because I always think our wheat whiskey is so fruity. It's very apple-y, orchard fruit, and has some baking spice. So I think it might be really interesting with the spiced apple.
I couldn't agree more. That was as soon as I tried this, that's what I was like, I'm going to go up into my whiskey cabinet and grab a bottle of that because I think I have 2 or 3 of them stashed up there, and I'm going to try that next after we're done here. And so I'm really excited about this. I was kind of a little apprehensive because I'm not a cocktails guy. I mean, yeah. I'm a bourbon neat. I'm a Scotch neat guy. I'm a whiskey neat guy. I usually don't like things taken away from the whiskey itself, but these just marry perfectly, and they're crafted to be just a fantastic cocktail in every sense of the way. It doesn't take away, it adds, it's a beautiful marriage.
The whiskey complements the cocktail.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you. We really wanted to make sure that if we were going to put our name on something and recommend it, that it was up to our standards of meeting the complexity. And a cocktail, I think, should elevate your base spirit. So for Woodford Reserve, we've got a lot of flavors to work with. And I think that the mixers just elevate and enhance what already exists in the bottle.
Right. With knowing Chris Morris, we interviewed him maybe a year ago.
Yeah, about a year ago.
And following you, because you've actually been one of the people I follow their career. I'm impressed with a lot of the things you do. So, and I thank you.
Thank you.
I kind of didn't expect anything less, and I'm really happy. I was more surprised than I was because these are just dynamite, to say the least. Definitely go out and get them, everybody. If you're in the cocktails, you're hosting a party, and you really want to kick it up a notch, it's kind of it keeps it simple.
Absolutely.
It does.
32 cocktails per bottle, approximately.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you
so
go.
You're really getting your money's worth with these. Absolutely. I mean, and they've got a wonderful shelf life. So it's not like if you don't use it all, you've got to throw it away after a month. I mean, they'll last for a year and a half, 2 years.
Should they be refrigerated or like stored in a
It doesn't say that it has to be refrigerated, but I just knowing my research background, I think for depending on what your usage is, like I've been keeping mine out on my bar because I've been using them quite frequently. But you can put them if you're going to use them and then a week later use it. And like I would throw it in your refrigerator if you have room, but you don't have to. You don't have to. It's nice to have them chilled too.
My phone booting up here. I turned it off for the event. We do have a question in the chat thread for this event. So I'd like to get to that if I can. And maybe Chad, you have a quicker
reach over
access
here
to it.
Look. Can you read that? Because I sure as hell can't.
No, I can't.
We're both getting that age where we need to split.
And then
Well, the screen is so far.
Yeah.
Comment from Nick Lewis, Woodford, Manhattan was what made me fall in love with American cocktails. And Nick Lewis is representative for Bardstown.
Nick Lewis.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you that
Nick Lewis.
Chris Morris and I, if you were to find us out, and I find this really funny, oh, here's my dog. So I find it really funny that we shared with some colleagues, we were talking to people and just saying, they're like, what's your favorite cocktail? And I go, oh, if you find Chris Morris and I out at lunch together, we will be drinking Manhattans. I said, I will have a Woodford Rye Manhattan. Chris Morris will do a Woodford Bourbon Manhattan. But sometimes I like to have them up, but I think at lunchtime on the rocks is more the right pace to take to dilute it down a little bit. But people found that funny that we drink Manhattans at lunch on a regular basis. But in our world, that's normal, but I know that not everybody can do that. So, maybe in your next evening get together, but Manhattans are I love Manhattans. And to be fair, we've looked into doing Manhattan premixes, and I don't know if we can find the right concoction, we'll do it. But Manhattans are very special because you've got your vermouth, and vermouth is so complex. There's just so much to play with in that space that it's really hard to replicate in a mix.
For me, if you just wave the cap of the vermouth bottle over the top, that's enough for me. Not fond of vermouth. Yeah. But again, if you haven't tried it, this black walnut bitters is just amazing in an old fashioned. And that was turned on to me by Kelly Wells Woods, one of our members and members of another group. And it just makes a fantastic old fashioned. If you like black walnut, and black walnut for me is Christmas. My mom made Christmas cookies with black walnuts, and I love the taste of black walnuts. And the bitters in an old fashioned is just Christmas for me.
I love that. I love the nostalgia involved with cocktails and with just aromas in general. As a sensory scientist, and that's something that I always talk to people about. When you're drinking a cocktail, when you're tasting, when you're nosing, people are like, get so worried about picking out the subtleties and did they correctly identify it? And it's not about that. It's about what is it? Where does it bring you back to? The nostalgia. That is what sensory is about. That is what a great cocktail is about. That's what a great glass of bourbon is about nosing it and going, this takes me to this space, this place. And yeah,
I love that because that's where it puts me. I've told stories about that, like sitting on my front porch drinking a whatever bourbon and like just nosing it for an hour and like taking me to the carnival and smelling like the kettle corn and the cocktails. This one in particular just reminded me of my parents' Christmas parties. The sour.
Sour.
You know, and that's exactly what it does because they would float cherries in it and a few other little fruits and the aunts and uncles, they'd all be happy and cheering each other and drinking the whiskey sours and just
Yeah.
being in that moment. And that's what whiskey's supposed to do. And whether it's a cocktail or neat.
Well,
It is.
it-
I love that you said that. I mean, it really is. It's about togetherness and about elevating an experience.
And I think the whiskey Woodford Reserve mixes with Williams-Sonoma is going to bring that to a lot of people this year. You guys did a phenomenal job on these. And
No. As we've said before in many of our previous events, that if something in whiskey brings back memories from whatever point in your life, that's the important thing about drinking good whiskey. It's not about getting a buzz or whatever. It's the memories that it creates. Well, maybe a little bit, but it's about the memories it creates and the memories it brings back. So I have a question for you from one of our members. John Thorpe wants to know, is this available at Woodford?
So it will be. Williams-Sonoma is going to do a pop-up shop at our visitor center. So we will have these available there. So you'll be able to get the Williams-Sonoma goodies at Woodford Reserve.
Great.
We'll be there for the holidays for sure.
Also,
Huh?
are these available nationwide as well?
Yes, so they are available at all the Williams-Sonomas nationwide, and you can get them at williamssonoma.com as well.
Awesome. So we're going to wrap it up, Elizabeth. If you can hang out for just a few minutes after we're done here, I'd appreciate it. And I would like to raise a glass to you. And I would like to thank you for sharing your cocktails. These just blew my mind, the apple. With us today. Wish you a happy holiday season because we're all going to be running crazy over this next month and a half. So here's success to the Williams-Sonoma partnership. Cheers and happy holidays to you, Woodford Reserve, WBSE, and the Whiskey Network. Remember, crack a bottle, make a cocktail, and share a pour because that's what we do. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers and happy anniversary.
Thank you very, very much.